Jian Wushuang has returned from his first official academy mission, but the true danger is waiting at home. In our last episode, Wushuang successfully completed his external trial, but his success brought back dangerous information, a secret that threatens the power structure of the Sky Mountain Academy. Today, Wushuang fights the conspiracy from within. Chapters 41 through 45 see Wushuang caught in a political minefield. His discovery immediately draws the suspicious eye of a high-ranking elder or core disciple secretly affiliated with the Academy's enemies. Wushuang must navigate intense scrutiny, biased trials, and a direct, orchestrated challenge designed to silence him forever. He must use not only his superior cultivation but also his intellect to expose the treachery and secure a victory that will determine his standing for the entire Academy career. The internal war begins now. Chapter 41 starts right away. Chapter 41. The Sword Essence. Ping. A cold sword shadow, at a very tricky angle, stabbed directly toward the golden gibbon, which was more than 2 meters tall. Covered in greenish-black scales, it dashed toward the shadow, using its giant arms that were notorious for their outrageous strength. The moment that the sword shadow was smashed and scattered, another 3 sword lights flashed almost simultaneously. It had already been 6 days since Jian Wushuang entered the dark forest. During his search in the dark forest over the past 5 days, he had undergone dozens of battles, some of which were fiercely dangerous, especially when battling against spirit beasts in the profound transforming sea realm and the exceptional transforming sea realm. Compared to 5 days ago, his swordsmanship appeared much sharper and he had gained much more fighting experience. Except for the one battle in the gladiator arena, Jian Wushuang had grown up training in Sword Marquis Mansion. He had no previous fighting experience with anyone before that. But now, his previous disadvantage in experience was being made up for. Clang! The fleeting and flickering shiny sword edge eluded the golden gibbon's eyes, directly puncturing its throat with an amazing piercing force. Rumbling. Its blood continued to spew out as its huge body instantly fell down. Great, that is the 7th spirit beast in the profound transforming sea realm that you have killed these last few days, said Sima Bu, walking up with a smile. Your spiritual power still needs to improve some more before it can reach the exceptional transforming sea realm, but your swordsmanship has become more refined after several days of fighting. I still have a long way to go, said Jian Wushuang, shaking his head without any sense of pride. I'm still far from having enough fighting experience. By virtue of my mastery in swordsmanship, I can now get rid of some inexperienced spirit beasts in the profound transforming sea realm. However, I have to flee instantly once I encounter stronger spirit beasts because I'm still unable to use my strength to the fullest. If only I were more experienced in battle and more adept at swordsmanship, said Jian Wushuang, holding his hands tightly. Don't aim too high. After all, you are not even in the exceptional transforming sea realm, yet you already have such awesome battle strength, said Sima Bu. Then he suddenly added, these days, I've noticed that you're highly gifted in swordsmanship, and I have something that might be useful to you. I am giving it to you for Ji Wui's sake. Sima Bu immediately turned his right hand upward, unfolding a yellow wire-bound book. What? Said Jian Wushuang with a little surprise. Then he stared at the gold ring that was always on the ring finger of Sima Bu's right hand. Is that an interspatial ring? He asked suspiciously. Just as its name suggested, an interspatial ring contained a separate space for holding things. There was nothing else in his hand, but how did the book appear as he flipped his hand over? It went without saying that it must have been an interspatial ring. You're right, it's an interspatial ring, said Sima Bu with a smile. Presented by Gold Dragon Palace, called the Gold Dragon Ring, and symbolizing the Gold Dragon Guard. If you're interested in this and go there by any chance, you'll be given a Gold Dragon Ring by Gold Dragon Palace only after you complete the task to become a Gold Dragon Guard. Really? Jian Wushuang became excited. Anyway, I obtained this book by chance. First, you should read it carefully, as you can benefit from what this expert in sword principles had learned. By the way, he is a supreme expert in the yin-yang void realm, said Sima Bu. Insight into sword principles from an expert? And left by a supreme expert? Asked Jian Wushuang with a serious look. The 7 ranks of the spirit path, the transcending sea realm, the primordial gold core realm, and the yin-yang void realm. Among these, the primordial gold core realm already linked to the strongest, the yin-yang void realm, and a supreme expert, who was also rare in the whole Qianzong dynasty. Was it sword principle insights left by such a supreme expert? Jian Wushuang immediately took the book and began to read it carefully. It did not mention the name of the supreme expert, but it spoke of his insights in sword principle, as well as his views related to swordsmanship. Sword principle can be broken into two parts. Sword arts, which are merely the form of swordsmanship, and sword essence, which is required for real swordsmanship. Combining both will give you insight into sword principle. In fact, that book respectively introduced sword principle, starting with the sword arts chapter, then progressing to the second chapter, sword essence. Jian Wushuang first absorbed the sword arts chapter. If a swordsman depends on sophisticated, but formal and stiff, sword arts, there is no difference for him between normal and average sword arts. While an expert can easily surpass his rivals, even if they are thousands of times stronger than him, as long as he is more adept at using his sword arts, and even if his sword arts are of a lower class. The pages of the sword arts chapter could be counted on one's fingers, and all they spoke of was the common sense of sword principle. But what made the book different lay in the fact that its creator seemed to despise all sword arts in the universe. He even held the belief that sword arts were insignificant to sword principle. This senior seems biased against sword arts. Admittedly, I do agree with his view on various sword arts, but not on his thoughts that sword arts mean nothing to a warrior and can be ignored, Jian Wushuang thought. His training began with sword arts at an early age, and he believed that it very helpful to a warrior. After all, it was sword arts that had defeated Jian Meng'er and Yi Mo in the Sword Marquis token battle. And it was also sword arts that helped him battle spirit beasts of the exceptional transforming sea realm in the dark forest, even making it possible to kill those beasts in the end. Without sword arts, he would, at most, have only been a match for spirit beasts at the peak of the profound transforming sea realm by virtue of his unique heavenly creation skill. Even then, it is uncertain who would have won. Shaking his head secretly, Jian Wushuang turned his eyes to the Sword Essence chapter instead of the Sword Arts chapter. Sword Essence was divided into two sections as well. In one, sword principle was used to accompany and enhance one's swordsmanship. Stronger swordsmanship means stronger sword essence. In the second section, sword essence was used to shape the essences of heaven and earth through comprehension. There are many essences in the universe, including the immense earth, raging flames, and the wind everywhere in our lives. They are all part of the strength of the universe and nature. These essences can be shaped by using one's sword essence and greatly sharpening one's swordsmanship through comprehension. Upon reaching a high enough level, any move with his sword can surpass both first-class sword arts and even legendary sword arts. There are many different kinds of sword essence, such as the sword essence of gale, the sword essence of raging fire, the sword essence of earth, and sword essence of the water drop. The contents of the Sword Essence chapter were more sophisticated and detailed than the plain introduction in the Sword Arts chapter, and Jian Wushuang was totally immersed in its contents. Chapter 42, Sword Essence of Gale. After obsessively reading the contents of the Sword Essence chapter, word for word, from beginning to end, Jian Wushuang finally raised his head and breathed deeply, with a hint of shock in his eyes. "How is it going?" Sima Bu asked. "Very good, especially the chapter on sword essence." Jian Wushuang nodded his head and said seriously, "When my father was teaching me swordsmanship, he mentioned sword essence. But I didn't understand what sword essence really indicated until now. I finally know that sword essence is formed by comprehending the essence of heaven and earth. Yes, in fact, it is a matter of understanding and using the natural power of heaven and earth. Watch this." Sima Bu said, then smiled and abruptly pulled out the saber at his waist, immediately attacking a rock that was several meters away. A sharp crack appeared on the rock and a large amount of rubble fell. "I didn't use the essences of heaven and earth just now. But now, I will try again with the essence of heaven and earth. Make sure you watch." Immediately, Sima Bu split the rock again. Jian Wushuang sensed a strong and fiery power this time when the rock was attacked. Was that the essence of heaven and earth? Jian Wushuang's heartbeat quickened. Pang! The rock shattered and a large amount of rubble fell. Jian Wushuang was astonished to see such a large difference. The difference was humongous. One attack only caused a crack in the rock while the other blew the entire rock into pieces. Is this the difference between a normal attack and an attack using the essence of heaven and earth? Jian Wushuang asked. That's right. The essences of heaven and earth are the powers of nature, which can be guided by both sword warriors and blade warriors. However, I have only mastered superficial knowledge. Otherwise, the power would have been much stronger, said Sima Bu. Actually, for warriors, they would try to master essences of heaven and earth after reaching the gold core realm. Once he mastered a hint of sword essence or blade essence, his strength would explode. Once, I met a super genius who was talented in swordsmanship, like you. At that time, he had just entered the gold core realm, but he had deep comprehension in 3 different sword essences at the same time, which helped him to kill an expert warrior at the exceptional gold core realm. What? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Everyone knows, the distance in power between each level only gets larger as their strength progresses. The distance between the initial gold core realm and the exceptional gold core realm was so large that even a genius who possessed a heaven-defying cultivation method, like the heavenly creation skill, still couldn't compare with someone at the exceptional gold core realm. However, because that exceptional genius reached a high level of understanding in sword essences, he was able to kill someone in the exceptional gold core realm with only 1 stroke. Just a single stroke. Sword essence is that terrifying? Jian Wushuang asked in shock. Your spiritual power is still too low to progress to the gold core realm, but after these few days, I noticed that you are very talented in swordsmanship. So, I decided to give you this book in the hope that you can learn sword essence earlier. It depends on whether you yourself can actually comprehend it, Sima Bu said. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. When he saw the chapter on sword essence, he knew there was a large difference: someone who comprehended the essences of heaven and earth and someone who did not. He was full of longing and expectation towards the essence realm of heaven and earth. And that chapter also introduced the methods for comprehending the essences of heaven and earth in great detail. Even after this day, Jian Wushuang continued searching and battling with powerful spirit beasts at the profound transforming sea realm and exceptional transforming sea realm in the dark forest. But obviously, he spent more time studying sword essence than he had previously. Inside an open canyon of the dark forest, Jian Wushuang stood alone with his eyes closed and his long sword held out. He had been holding this position for half an hour. With the breeze whisking by his body repeatedly, he quietly attempted to feel the power of the wind in the surrounding the area. The wind is invisible, but ubiquitous. Unexpectedly, the long sword in his hand began to sweep slowly upwards. Very slowly, very lightly. Each move followed the strength of the wind that flowed in the surrounding area. With a trace of a smile on his face, Jian Wushuang very clearly sensed the power of the surrounding wind, as well as the lightness of the wind. Gradually, a trace of enlightenment grew in his heart as the speed of his sword increased. At this time, Sima Bu was sitting arbitrarily on a rock near the open space. Occasionally, Jian Wushuang would glance in his direction. This kid has begun to ponder sword essence, but is it so easy to comprehend? Sima Bu shook his head and could not help laughing in the heart. One must know that to comprehend the blade essence of raging fire, he had ventured alone to a desolate and huge volcano. He lived there for a full 3 years, day and night, feeling the turbulent flames. Finally, he grasped a trace of the blade essence of raging fire, which was considered very lucky compared to the unfortunate experts in the gold core realm who worked hard their whole life without ever being able to feel a trace of the essence realm of heaven and earth. Even though Jian Wushuang was born with talent in sword principle, it would still take a long time for him to comprehend sword essence. But, at this moment, how is that possible? Sima Bu looked up unexpectedly, feeling completely astonished by what he was seeing. Jian Wushuang was still practicing his swordsmanship at this moment, but the speed of his sword gradually became surprisingly fast, so much that even Sima Bu could only see the flickering sword light. He is drawing his sword so quickly, and he is doing it freestyle, without using sword arts. Sima Bu was shocked. He did not use sword arts to enhance the speed, like the Aurora sword art or flowing light sword art. He was just practicing freestyle, but it was still so fast. What does it mean? The sword flows with the wind becomes the sword. The sword principle of Gale. He comprehended it. Sima Bu was dumbstruck immediately. Note that it was only yesterday when he gave the book to Jian Wushuang. Also, he only learned of the existence of the essence realm of heaven and earth yesterday. Today he comprehended the sword principle of Gale from the essences of heaven and earth. What speed is that? Chapter 43. Incredible Comprehension. Whoosh! Sword light flashed at an amazingly fast speed, just like a fish swimming in the water, shifting around naturally. It was quite a bit later when Jian Wushuang finally stopped practicing. Kid, I think I am beginning to understand why Bloodfeather Tower chased you in such a crazy manner, Sima Bu said to him with a complex look on his face. To be honest, I have to admit that you are an exceptional genius. You have grasped the sword principle of Gale today, even though you just learned of the essence realm of heaven and earth yesterday. Your talent completely outmatches the exceptional genius I mentioned to you earlier. If I'm not mistaken, although your natural talent is good, part of it must have to do with your awakening of the sword soul. Sword soul. Jian Wushuang felt a tremor in his heart, then nodded, quietly approving. Indeed, when practicing his swordsmanship, he also realized that something inside him helped him comprehend the essences of heaven and earth. Even though it was difficult for others, he could easily grasp the sword essence of Gale. But what was it inside him that helped him comprehend the essences of heaven and earth? Undoubtedly, it must be because of his sword soul awakening. Sword soul. Something that drove Bloodfeather Tower to chase after him desperately. Naturally, it must be extraordinary. It was due to the sword soul that he could immediately and swiftly comprehend a trace of the sword essence of Gale. Anyhow, I have already grasped a trace of the sword essence of Gale. With it, my swordsmanship should be several times or even dozens of times more skillful than before. Jian Wushuang thought with a bright look in his eyes. Only a trace of sword essence of Gale could easily make his sword several times faster once it was integrated into his swordsmanship. Such an increase in speed also helped sharpen his swordsmanship, greatly contributing to its piercing force. It would cause his level of swordsmanship to increase immensely. Let me test it against a spirit beast first. Jian Wushuang thought quietly. Shortly after, he fought with a huge iron-backed bear. Its force was extremely dreadful and absolutely the most formidable spirit beast in the exceptional transforming sea realm. If he had encountered this huge iron-backed bear before grasping a trace of the sword essence of Gale, Jian Wushuang would have had no choice but to flee in a disorderly manner. However, now he did not even show a trace of fear. Kill! After releasing a low howl, with his eyes blazing like torches, Jian Wushuang waved his sword. Sword light flashed out across the air for several meters before finally striking the huge body of the iron-backed bear directly. The sword light was so fleeting that the iron-backed bear didn't even realize its body had been injured at first. Instantly, a flood of fresh blood poured out from the sword scar on its body. Though the sword scar was nothing to its huge body and strong defense, it was definitely enough to enrage the iron-backed bear. Howl! The howl from the iron-backed bear's mouth echoed in the surroundings. Its two giant feet stamped on the ground as it made great strides towards Jian Wushuang. Every step forward produced a minor tremor. Go to hell, human! The dark golden eyes of the iron-backed bear were a bloody color and its desire to kill Jian Wushuang increased dramatically. Ha ha, come on! Jian Wushuang began to laugh loudly while moving his sword to fight against it. After a while, a cold and dazzling sword light directly penetrated its defense and plunged into its throat. Iron-backed bears are formidable in both power and defense, but their speed is very slow. Now that I have grasped a trace of the sword essence of Gale, I can easily surpass it in speed. There is no chance for it to resist against my absolute advantage in speed. Jian Wushuang smiled secretly. Iron-backed bears, the most formidable spirit beasts in the exceptional transforming sea realm. Now, they could easily be slain by Jian Wushuang. Continue. Next, the tests progressed forward as he battled one formidable spirit beasts after another, such as purple crystal-winged lions, phantom foxes, gibbon-shaped wolverines, 9 poisons pythons and so on. The most formidable spirit beasts in the exceptional transforming sea realm became the opponents of Jian Wushuang and were eventually killed by him. Time flew by. It had already been 1 month since Jian Wushuang entered the dark forest. The dark forest covered an abundantly immense area, stretching across 2 provinces. Although he had already traveled for a month, Jian Wushuang still had a long way to go before he would reach the Qiannan province. With his hands crossed, in the darkness of the forest, Sima Bu gravely stared at Jian Wushuang, who was practicing his swordsmanship in front of him. In his eyes, he could clearly perceive that every one of Jian Wushuang's extremely heavy moves interacted and integrated with the earth. Sword essence of earth. He has just grasped a trace of the sword essence of Gale, but in less than a month after that, he seems to have also grasped the sword essence of earth. Unbelievable, it's really unbelievable. It shocked Sima Bu to his core. It was really incredible for him to simultaneously grasp 2 kinds of sword essence within a month. However, this made Sima Bu much more curious about Sword Soul. What on earth is Sword Soul? And how did it create such a monster? It wasn't long before Jian Wushuang finished practicing his swordsmanship. Earth, warm and heavy. The sword essence of earth is exactly like this. Jian Wushuang forced a smile and rejoiced. He himself didn't expect to grasp the sword essence as easily as he did today. He grasped sword principle of Gale earlier, but only 1 month later he had also grasped a trace of the sword essence of earth. For his part, that must be the result of the sword soul. Great progress had been made in his swordsmanship in the past month. First, his cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th heaven of the divine path after 1 month's worth of life and death fighting and day and night cultivation. His current level was comparable to when he used the soul-taking secret skill to fight against Yi Mo. At its peak, the 9th heaven of the divine path was equivalent to the exceptional transforming sea realm. Secondly, his swordsmanship, and especially his fighting experience, had made greater progress. Now, without a doubt, he was completely experienced in fighting. As for sword essence, he learned more tricks in the sword essence of Gale and became more skilled and flexible in the practice and use of sword essence. But more importantly, he also apprehended a trace of the sword essence of earth just now. It must be acknowledged that he had grasped 2 different sword essences of nature in this short amount of time. Characterized by its flexibility and fastness, the sword essence of Gale could make sword arts and piercing force much more powerful. As for the sword essence of earth, it was boundless and tremendous due to its heaviness and steadiness. If used perfectly and flexibly, these 2 sword essences could make his sword arts more dreadful and formidable. After a month of cultivating and fighting, I have killed numerous spirit beasts easily. Even the formidable spirit beasts in the exceptional transforming sea realm are not considered a threat to me, so. Exposing a cold look in his eyes, Jian Wushuang made a decision in his mind. Chapter 44. Bloody Moon Devil Wolf. What? You are going to fight against spirit beasts in the gold core realm? Sima Bu looked at Jian Wushuang with astonishment. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Just as water naturally runs downhill, he aspired to fight against stronger spirit beasts, ones in the gold core realm, to practice his swordsmanship. It was a fact that spirit beasts in the exceptional transforming sea realm couldn't pose a threat to him. Despite the big difference between the gold core realm and transforming sea realm, Jian Wushuang was still confident in his strength. As we all know, the peak of the 9th heaven of the divine path could rival the spiritual power of the exceptional transforming sea realm. With his sword arts as well as the sword essences of both Gale and earth, he had the ability to fight with spirit beasts in the gold core realm. Brother Bu, don't worry about me. With my current strength, I can fight against the weaker spirit beasts in the gold core realm. Even if I can't beat them, I can escape. If I can't escape, I can count on you, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. In the past 1 month, he got along well with Sima Bu, who always gave him references and guidance from nearby when he was fighting with spirit beasts. Jian Wushuang appreciated that very much. Alright, I still want to remind you that spirit beasts in the gold core realm are so powerful that you may be killed by them before I can help you out. You must be careful when you confront them, Sima Bu advised repeatedly. Certainly, I won't risk my life, said Jian Wushuang while smiling. Then he began to search for nearby spirit beasts at the gold core realm. Spirit beasts at the transforming sea realm in the dark forest were everywhere, but those in the gold core realm were rare. During the last month, they only met several spirit beasts at the gold core realm, and once meeting them, they chose to escape instead of fighting. Jian Wushuang searched for them for a long time, but he failed to find one at the gold core realm on the first day. However, he found a spirit beast already in the profound gold core realm the next day. Even though it was barely in the profound gold core realm, fighting against it was like playing with fire, so he decided to give up. Jian Wushuang didn't find a suitable spirit beast in the gold core realm to fight with until the third day. It's a blood-immune devil wolf. Staring at the more than 1 meter high, dark red devil wolf, whose whole body seemed to have been bathed in blood, Jian Wushuang desperately desired to fight it. Human beings. Just like Jian Wushuang, the dark red eyes of the blood-immune devil wolf also stared at him. Stronger spirit beasts are also much wiser. This blood-immune devil wolf in the gold core realm was as intelligent as a human being, so it could also feel Jian Wushuang's burning desire to fight. You, a small ant, who has not even reached the gold core realm, how dare you fight with me? Go to hell. With a sudden release of all his strength, the blood-immune devil wolf moved so fast that only a bloody shadow was left in the air. Wearing a serious look, Jian Wushuang used his long sword against the blood-immune devil wolf right when its shadow flashed. Jian Wushuang used a mysterious angle to both stab and block the shadow of the blood-immune devil wolf as soon as its dark red shadow emerged. Immediately, an angry howl was released by the blood-immune devil wolf, accompanied by a wave of sound, easily bouncing his long sword back. What? Jian Wushuang said with astonishment. A mere howl was able to deflect his sword art. Aurora sword art. After a cold humph, Jian Wushuang released all his strength and produced many sword shadows at almost the same time. His sword arts, mixed with a trace of sword principle of gale, made the sword shadows flash at lightning speed. Thump, thump, thump. The sky was almost filled with the whistling sword light. The blood-immune devil wolf suddenly attacked Jian Wushuang with its extremely sharp claws, which seemed to be able to split the void in two. Pang! Instantly, all the sword shadows disappeared. At the same time, a formidable force was released from the blood-immune devil wolf and transmitted to Jian Wushuang through his long sword, causing him to shiver unconsciously. It's so powerful that its force alone is enough to block me. Jian Wushuang looked serious. Watch out! Yelled Sima Bu, who was watching and standing in a nearby treetop. Jian Wushuang instantly noticed that the blood-immune devil wolf had already opened its mouth, showing its sharp and bloody fangs, and was preparing to bite off his head. Fuck off! Along with an angry shout, Jian Wushuang moved his triple-kill sword to generate a kind of heavy boundlessness. He integrated sword essence into his attack and used the sword essence of earth to angrily chop at the blood-immune devil wolf, finally making it step back. Anonymous sword art, blood shadow. With his eyes full of killing intent, Jian Wushuang instantly performed the first move of the anonymous sword arts. His use of the anonymous sword art was more powerful after grasping sword essence. The cold and sharp sword light flashed quickly as the blood-immune devil wolf abruptly lunged at him. Ding! A low crash sounded. Then, Jian Wushuang tried to stabilize his body after being repelled. Sword-killing movement. Jian Wushuang released his most powerful killing blow without any hesitation. Showing an angry look in its dark red eyes, the blood-immune devil wolf suddenly stretched out its cold and sharp claws. Clang! A low metal sound crashed, then there was a huge sword scar on the blood-immune devil wolf's paw, from which blood continuously poured out. After staring at Jian Wushuang with its dark red eyes, it shrank down into a blood shadow and fled directly into the jungle, where it disappeared. It escaped. While looking in the direction the blood-immune devil wolf fled, Jian Wushuang withdrew his long sword and displayed a strange expression. Kid, are you okay? Sima Bu came over to him and asked. I'm fine. Jian Wushuang shook his head, but he couldn't help looking at his right hand that was holding his long sword. Actually, he still felt a shiver in his palm. It is worthy of being called a gold core realm spirit beast. It's much more powerful than me. Though I wounded it with my sword-killing movement during the fight, it also hurt me with the formidable power from its paws, Jian Wushuang murmured. Kid, you did quite well. You repelled it by using your sword arts. As a spirit beast at the Gold Core realm, it is definitely more powerful than you, Sima Bu said. Still not good enough, Jian Wushuang said without any sense of satisfaction. My swordsmanship still needs to improve, and I'm not flexible enough when using the sword principles of both Gale and Earth. If I could use the third move of the anonymous sword arts, or perfectly combine the sword principles of Gale and Earth, integrating one into the other, I wouldn't have panicked in that fight. All right, let's continue like this. Jian Wushuang continued practicing his swordsmanship while heading towards his destination. Time flew and 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Jian Wushuang and Sima Bu had spent 4 months, 3 months added to the previous month, walking through the dark forest before they finally reached the other side. Chapter 45. Gold Dragon Palace. On the official road to the dark forest in Tiannan province. Boy, in front of you is Qingdong City. Due to its proximity to the dark forest, the forces of Qingdong City became entangled. Some of them may be the forces of Gold Dragon Palace and, of course, there are also some spies from Bloodfeather Tower. Because of this, you need to keep a low profile when you go into the city. Sima Bu took a conical straw hat from his gold dragon ring, handing it to Jian Wushuang. Carrying the long sword, Jian Wushuang, whose clothes were in tatters, took it and wore it without hesitation. Compared to 4 months ago when he just entered the dark forest, Jian Wushuang obviously appeared a little calmer and his skin had also turned much darker. Because of this, his innocent appearance had vanished. In the city, Jian Wushuang wore a conical straw hat that slightly covered his face. Although he knew that Qingdong City was already within the region of Tiannan Province, and the intelligence system of Bloodfeather Tower was certainly not as good as Qianyang Province, Jian Wushuang was still cautious. Led by Sima Bu, the two quickly arrived in front of a magnificent loft. A gold dragon hovered over the rooftops of the gigantic loft, in front of which 2 men were standing there coldly. Then Sima Bu brought Jian Wushuang inside. A large number of warriors were in the loft and most of them, like Sima Bu, were wearing a gold ring, apparently symbolizing that they were gold dragon guards. Boy, wait for me for a while. I'm going to turn in the task, Sima Bu said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded and then slightly raised his head, looking around at those gold dragon guards, who seemed to be drinking wine and chatting very casually. Yet, he could feel their subtle killing intent. Brother Bu was right. Gold dragon guards, all of them are dangerous killers, who often engage in life and death struggles. Jian Wushuang whispered. It took more than 4 months to finally fulfill the task. Sima Bu came back to where Jian Wushuang was, carrying a pot of wine, then he said, Boy, I took the task in the first place for the purpose of helping Jiwu. As for bringing you, it was just out of convenience. Now my mission has been completed, so from here on you are on your own. Thank you for all your help in these 4 months, Brother Bu. Jian Wushuang nodded with gratitude deep down inside. Sima Bu really gave him a lot of assistance and Jian Wushuang secretly kept that favor in mind. Ha ha, it's nothing. Oh, yes. What do you intend to do next? Sima Bu looked at him and asked. I want to be a gold dragon guard. Jian Wushuang said directly. Oh. Sima Bu smiled and said with a raised brow, I knew that was the choice you would make. Gold Dragon Guard is an occupation that walks on the edge of life and death, making it easier to hone real experts, dangerous as it is. Besides, judging from your actions in the dark forest, your craziness makes you suitable to be a Gold Dragon Guard. However, the Gold Dragon Guard is divided into several different levels, such as 1-clawed Gold Dragon Guard, 2-clawed Gold Dragon Guard, 3-clawed Gold Dragon Guard, and Golden Dragon Ambassador, which is the highest level. Considering your current strength, at most, you can complete the task required to become a 1-clawed Gold Dragon Guard. Yes, I see, said Jian Wushuang while nodding. Jian Wushuang often asked Bu about a variety of things those 4 months in the dark forest. Naturally, that included questions about the Gold Dragon Guard. Gold Dragon Guard was an occupation with high requirements. To even become a 1-clawed Gold Dragon Guard, the lowest level, one must at least reach the peak of the profound transforming sea realm. In addition, to become a Gold Dragon Guard, you had to complete a task assigned by Gold Dragon Palace. These tasks were extremely difficult and the chance of failure was high. With your current strength, as long as you are careful and not too impulsive, you have the ability to complete the task and become a one-clawed gold dragon guard. It isn't supposed to be difficult. Sima Bu laughed. Witnessing Jian Wushuang's growth, step by step, for 4 months, Sima Bu was definitely aware of his strength. Follow me, I'll take you to sign up and accept the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard, said Sima Bu. Jian Wushuang nodded. Then Sima Bu brought him to the counter in the attic, in front of which was a grey-robed elder with silver hair and half squinting his eyes, who looked like he might fall asleep. Mr. Hua, said Sima Bu with reverence. My little brother wants to take on the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard. The old man in grey looked up slightly, glancing at Jian Wushuang with his half-squinting eyes, and said indifferently, "What's your name?" "With regard to my name." Jian Wushuang touched his nose, the corners of his mouth curling upwards as he said, "Just call me Swordsman." Swordsman. Sima Bu cast a glance at Jian Wushuang and burst out in laughter. Take this token and come here again 3 days from now. The grey-robed elder threw a wooden token with a gold dragon mark to Jian Wushuang and then turned around without giving Jian Wushuang a second glance. Is it that simple? Jian Wushuang took the wooden token with great surprise. What do you think? Go, said Sima Bu, smiling as they walked back. This is Mr. Bu, right? Haven't seen you for many years. I didn't expect to meet you here today, said someone, with a clear and unpleasant tone of voice. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang saw a black-robed man with a cold face and bird eyes coming over, followed by a purple-haired man. Zhu Dao. Sima Bu picked his eyebrow, coldly smiling as he said, "Long time no see." Zhu Dao, his bird eyes flashing with a ray of coldness, then looked to the grey-robed elder by the counter. "Mr. Hua, this is my disciple, Dongfang Yu. He is here to accept the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard," Zhu Dao said humbly. "Take this token and come back here in 3 days." The grey-robed elder still spoke coldly and also gave the purple-haired man a wooden token with the gold dragon mark. Zhu Dao turned around and his eyes swept the room, only to see the wooden token in the hands of Jian Wushuang. The corners of his mouth quirked up as he said indifferently, "Mr. Bu, the one who is behind you is your disciple? It seems that he has already taken the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard, too. What a coincidence. This is one of my little brothers, called Swordsman, not my disciple," Sima Bu said directly. "Is he not your disciple?" Zhu Dao was laughing, then turned around and looked at the purple-robed man. "My disciple, this is your great master, Mr. Bu, whom I often mentioned, and the one next to him is one of his little brothers. You may as well say hello to his little brother. After all, you are going to work together to accomplish the one-clawed gold dragon guard mission." "Yes." The purple-robed man nodded, then looked directly at Jian Wushuang. The corners of his mouth at this moment quirked up as he said, "Swordsman? My name is Dongfang Yu. I wonder if you have the courage to fight with me." And with that masterful political and combative victory, we conclude Chapter 45. Wushuang has successfully thwarted the internal conspiracy, exposing the treacherous elements and protecting the academy from hidden enemies. His actions have earned him the full, absolute trust of the leadership and an unprecedented reward, access to a level of resources few disciples ever dream of. The small-scale battles are over. The resources are secured. Now, Wushuang is ready for his next major leap in strength. Join us next time for chapters 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50, where Wushuang enters a sacred cultivation ground, discovers a hidden legacy, and faces a trial that will fundamentally transform his power. Thank you for listening to Panda Audiobooks. If you are ready for Wushuang's next massive breakthrough, please subscribe and hit that notification bell.